I said that. Love it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Skyline Circle. If you are old school, you recognize this as the Rolodex. But now that we have got the Keystone Network going, we are super excited to highlight the Skyline Circle and really highlight different members and community people just in the business area. So super excited. And we're going to take a little bit of time to do quick introductions so everybody knows who is here. And just so you know, this is a special episode because everybody here has a big part to do with the Biz Storming community, which is the community that I have built inside of my business separately. But we are going to kick off the Keystone Network with that. So, Sarah, tell us about you and the things you're doing inside the Keystone Network and some of the stuff you do inside of the Biz Storming community.
Okay. Hello, my name is Sarah and I'm with Off the Beaten Path Consulting. And in the Keystone Network, I have my own room, which I am biased, but it is the coolest room, at least the cutest room, maybe. I should probably say that. It's probably the cutest room. So if you want to see the cutest room ever on Go Brunch, you should check out mine. But I use it for my regular business meetings. And I do have a conference room that'll actually get more use this coming year because I'm going to be doing some larger group things that I'll get to when we get further in. But when it comes to the Biz Storming community and with the Keystone Network, my better answer to that would be, how am I not involved? Because I have been there when everything started with Brittany starting a Biz Storming community, at least the way it looks now, I should say, because she had things going before I was around. But and then we built the idea of the Keystone Network together. So I think that there isn't many facets that I'm not involved in, and I'm super excited to see what 2026 will bring.
I know that extra digit does not work well right now. I'm not ready.
I know I'm not ready.
Terry, go ahead and tell us about who you are, what you're up to, and the amazing program that you were voluntold to add to the Biz Storming community.
Absolutely. Well, Terry Hill, Harmony 818 Travels. I am a travel business owner and I host a space where I can have one-to-one meetings and consultations. And I also have a conference room that I too, like Sarah, am going to put to more use in 2026 as well. But right now, one of the biggest things that I'm so excited about, and you touched on it, Brittany, I was voluntold, but it turned out it was the right thing. I am hosting a community within Biz Storming that is dedicated to network marketers and people in multi-level marketing and providing support in that particular area.
I love it. And I saw that you just expanded that to LinkedIn. So super excited to see that community on LinkedIn. Awesome, Terry. All right, Lisa, we are so excited to have you join us. I know that we were expecting to see you a little bit sooner, but we have you today, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Life happened, as life sometimes does. But I'm here, and I'm healthy. So if that means anything, we're gonna celebrate that, right? I am Lisa Marie. I am a fractional CFO and a wealth mentor, founder of Transcendent Wealth, and honestly, y'all, I'm really excited about this. I was really excited when Brittany was talking to me about it. I am going to have my own Q&A room. We're going to do once a month. Is that what we said? Once a month or once a week? I can't remember. I can't remember. I think it's once a week. I want to swear it was once a week, but I can't remember. That's how long ago we talked about it. Sorry. It's coming in 2026. Okay. that is hard saying that extra digit, right? I still feel like it's so earlier in 2025, and we're really literally almost at the end of 2025. It was going to happen a little bit earlier, but it's going to happen in 2026, where we're going to be, honestly, y'all, it's going to be all things, anything, money. And talking, just having those candid conversations, being able to come in there and have questions answered. On my tab, I'm going to be posting things for people to think about, for, just it'll be tips. It's going to be all kinds of things that are going to be there. And the goal, I know with Brittany and I, what we've talked about is it's going to grow from there. So I'm sure there's going to be more things added as we get into it. And I'm super excited for it. I really am.
Love it. Super exciting. So inside of this space right now, we all have room renters who are building that skyscraper. It's super exciting. And we also have people who very much are putting forth so much of their knowledge into the communities, from the 24-hour well, it's right now it's about 12 hours, but we have a co-working space that's manned 12 hours a day. We're looking for that full circle, but it's super exciting. So this is Skyline Circle, and the biggest part of this, the reason why I started this is because I want to highlight business owners, and I feel like business owners don't have enough time. We just heard quick spiels of who we are, but that doesn't give us time to know who we are. So we're going to take a moment and we're going to let everybody have a little bit of time to really talk on who they are, what they're creating, and what that means for everybody. So go for it, Sarah. We're going to start with you.
All right. And I'm going to start with, I was told I have to talk for 20 minutes. So I don't know if I could do that. Now, there's probably people watching this maybe that are going to be like, Sarah can talk about anything for 20 minutes. But we'll see how we do. So I am the owner of Off the Beaten Path Consulting, and I chose Off the Beaten Path for a variety of reasons, but I want to get into just the concept of not following the same track everyone else is. So I don't mean you got to go live in the bush somewhere, okay? I'm saying that just because someone else does it doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. You should learn from people. And I take that into all the things that I do for businesses around business and leadership strategy. And so I go into businesses and I do different things that I build HR policies. I, meet with the leaders to figure out where the barriers are. I do everything from written policies to actual mediations. I've been brought in to do hirings and firings, which I'd rather not do the firings, but it actually pays more than the hirings, which sucks. But what I have gotten to, though, is all of this experience that I have over the course of time, I started to think, how can I put that into a course, right? And so a few months ago, I created the strategy table. Now, the strategy table can be one-on-one with me, which is great. A lot of people don't want to talk about things in a forum. But I also have the strategy table as a group concept where myself and 4 people talk about strategy around barriers that those particular leaders have. And it's a really interesting way to have those conversations where it's not just me giving my advice, right? It's you seeing that perspective from a bunch of different leaders who all are going through some sort of barrier of their own, right? So you're like, I'm not alone there. It's a different barrier, but they have a barrier too. And I think that can help people feel a little more open in a smaller group. So that is available on my website. The next one is in January. If you're watching this, I want to go sign up. So one-on-ones, reach out to me directly. It's a little bit easier to do that. The second thing that I want to talk about is that one of the reasons that one of the ways I'm going off the beaten path is adding whimsy to some trainings. So the strategy table is more purposeful. It is pretty serious. We're overcoming a barrier, right? But in our business lives, all of you have sat through that leadership training or that business, training, or, we have monthly staff meetings where somebody gets up there with the death by PowerPoint, right? It is boring and nobody wants to do it. So I have created a series of coloring books, and I'm creating workshops around those coloring books for different aspects of that leadership training. Now, this doesn't mean we all get to sit in a room and color, but it does add a little bit of whimsy, and it adds a little bit of coloring to those trainings and a way for us to navigate some conversations that make them a little bit more easy, a little more free flowing, and a little more not looking at each other, staring at a PowerPoint, right? So those are going to be unveiled in the coming year, which is super exciting. Well, I think it is. I don't know. Then how do I do? I'm doing okay.
You're doing great on time. You have 17 minutes.
See, that's the problem. I don't know if I can talk for 20 minutes on what I do. So we're going to go to this other thing, though. So I'm going to tell a little bit of a story, and Brittany will laugh at this, but it was probably a solid year and a half ago that I attempted blogging, because every HR person in my existence was blogging. And I'm like, that must be what I have to do. And I took on blogging, and I hated every moment of it. Okay. Every single moment. It hurt me to write. I had to block out time, and it was like a struggle. And you can ask Brittany, I even cried a couple of times. I hated it so much, but I was like, I have to do it. If you're going to be in the HR world, you have to write a blog. And after 6 months, I was like, I can't. I just really can't. I'm struggling. So I ended that process with tears and anger. And then I discovered Substack. So if you've ever thought of writing a blog and you're worried about it, go just explore Substack for a while and realize that there is a whole community of people out there who love you for your opinions and thoughts and abilities, and they're not judging your writing, right? And because they want your thoughts and opinions, and they want to see all of that. And there's thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people on Substack that are there and wanting your advice wherever you're coming from. That's what they want. They want your story. And it was very refreshing. And so she just put it there on the screen, but check out my Substack. It's a little bit of HR, a little bit of leadership, and a whole lot of Sarah's journey. There's quite a few blogs about my grandfather that are actually pretty funny. But that's what I learned, is that when I put it on my website, I felt it always had to be, HR tips for those, strengthen your business, all this. Now I just write what's in my head that day. Sometimes that's about HR. Sometimes that's about leadership. Sometimes it's about business. Sometimes it's about my grandfather. And it felt way more easy, way more open, and way more me. So I don't know if that's what we're supposed to be talking about here, but that is what happened. And the fourth thing on my little list here that I thought of things that I needed to touch base on is, again, a lot of things happened between 2 and 3 years ago that we tried, and I wouldn't say we failed. I don't know if that would have been it, but we started the Keystone Network a hot minute ago. But none of y'all have ever heard about it, right? No. Because it was a 3-week process that was well, we're not doing this. We built it all. We made a logo. We had a plan. Okay. And so then life happened, right? And I started some things, and family things, and Brittany things. And there was a move in there, and a bunch of crap happened. And we were talking, give or take, a couple of months ago, where we're like, you know what? I think, and it was a we thing. It wasn't just me. I don't know who said it, but we need to bring back the Keystone Network. And I really think that the Skyscraper is where that needs to live, right? Because the original idea was giving people a platform to thrive, right? And initially we thought that was a TV channel, like a YouTube TV channel. And we realized that no, That's what this Go Brunch, the Keystone Network Skyscraper is. It gives businesses that place to thrive, and lots of conversations, and some quick rebranding. We a lot of that, all the back end stuff was on Brittany. I was just like, and coming up with good ideas. She made it all work. But it is going to be that place. And it is now, but it's going to be growing into that place that anyone can thrive. Anyone can collaborate. Anyone can find that place that they belong. And it's very interesting, because when I think of all the different people that are currently in it, and it comes out wrong to describe it this way, so I hope you guys don't take it the wrong way, but I almost think of it as we're the group of misfit toys, right? Like, we're not supposed to be together, but we are, right? Like, we would have never found this network had Brittany and I not built it, right? This type of community is not out there. And so we would have never met each other. We would have never been in this environment to even have these conversations on, the Skyline Circle or the Keystone Network, or even the things that we're all doing inside of our own businesses, right? These things wouldn't have happened without this community. And so while misfit toys isn't kind of what I mean like we're not supposed to belong together, and we do. And it's kind of amazing. So I did not hit 20 minutes, but I think.
But I do want to, Dom says to tell us more about the coloring books. I think, and I'm sure Terry's going to nod, you kind of glazed over them. Also, in favor of me, Dom said #adult coloring books.
All right, so I will go through my coloring books a little bit here. That is a very good question, Dom. And I will touch base on that a little bit, because when my coloring books are leadership coloring books. And so when I first started marketing them, it was leadership coloring books for adults. And a lot of people were like, wait, adult coloring books? And would give me a look. And I'm like, no, those are two separate things. I don't make adult coloring books, but I make coloring books for adults, right? And so it is kind of interesting. However, before I get into my coloring books, the adult coloring book thing, I have been toying with an idea of making a coloring book that has like things on it of those things you wish you could say to your boss, right? And so I think it would be funny, right? It would be like color this page to get it out of your head, because it says something like those things you wish you could say. But I need to get it from people. I think I need to do like a survey and say, like, what was like that one boss that you hated, you wish you could just say this to them as you walk out the door, right? Like, and just see what happens. But my coloring books are leadership development coloring books, and on each page is a thing to color with a prompt, like a journal prompt. And on the back of each page is a journaling page. It's got lines on it and all of that. And the idea is that you go through it page by page. You take a 30-day time frame and you color that page. You reflect on the statement, the question that's at the top. And when you're done with the page, you write your thoughts on the back. You take that 5 minutes and you just write your thoughts out, what you learned about yourself as you reflected on that question. So each coloring book has a little bit of a different theme. So one is Dinosaurs Make Bad Leaders, which is all about those archaic thoughts that we need to get rid of. And we all have those, right? Those thoughts, like those things you've learned back in the day in business, and you're just like, I need to get rid of that. And I see Lisa shaking her head doing that, the finance thing. As a CFO, I'm sure you've been in places where you're just like, you're still doing that. Maybe we should get off the handwritten ledger. Okay, so and I'm making a little bit of a joke here, but yeah, right. And so the next one is the butterfly effect of good leadership. So what are those little things that leaders could do every day that make the rest of the leaders or the rest of your team or the world a little bit of a better place, right? Being a good leader isn't always about those big, grandiose things, right? It's about making those small decisions every day to make sure that your people feel like their leader, the person that is managing them, supervising them, leading their company, actually cares. And just so you know, it's not Pizza Fridays. In case anybody out there is like, oh, Pizza Friday. No, it's about being nice every day and showing up every day. If you're mean every day and do Pizza Fridays, they still don't like you. So, note to self for all those people out there. Then I have monsters make messy leaders. Okay. And this is all about those things that we do that mess up other departments, right? Or mess up other things. So like you may not even realize you're doing it, but you are truly a monster making a mess in your wake. And reflecting on those concepts. And then we have the wild ways to work together, which is all about teamwork. And the only one that really isn't, it is about leadership and is actually more focused for children, I would say, is my Beyond the Tuxedo. And that one is all about penguins, but each penguin is a different leadership role. So there's a penguin astronaut and there's a penguin firefighter. And it's all about how leaders and reflecting on how leaders can be in any role. Right. And we've all been in that office where, some VP thinks they run the place, but without his secretary, he probably couldn't find his socks. OK. And so who's the leader in that regard? She actually runs everything, right? He hasn't ran anything in years. And so this talks about how leaders can show up in any role. And I think that answered Dom's question, I hope.
I love that. I think it did a very good job in what you were trying to accomplish. Sarah, will you tell us a little bit about, you had kind of brushed over this one too, because you're still sussing it out, but to fill up the next little bit of time for you, I think it would be great to hear more about what you're planning inside of those leadership and coloring book like that, making those leadership trainings more whimsical.
Oh, sure. So the first component is I'm going to start doing quick lives starting in January, where I'm going to go live and talk about not the coloring books particularly, but why archaic thoughts are bad with, the dinosaur coloring book behind me. So that's going to be where it starts. But with the actual workshops, I'm going to be working on virtual workshops on getting those things out there, right? Getting the archaic ideas out of your head, making sure that you have those little tools and tips and tricks to make those butterfly effects happen. But most importantly, I want to actually create one of the workshops around the teamwork, because I really think that in our world, teamwork and collaboration is something that people think they know how to do, but maybe don't have the actual tools, or it may be a little bit different than they think it is. So I'm going to be focusing those in the first probably quarter of the year. So look for more information.
Love it. All right, let's go into Q&A. I've been monitoring the chat, and Dominic totally helped us, which, by the way, Dom's going to be on in January 16th. He's going to be on the next Skyline Circle. So thank you, Dominic, for coming and supporting us. But I'm going to open this up for Q&A. So anybody who's watching, throw some questions in the chat. I'm going to be monitoring that. And I would love to hear from everybody who's in this room. What are questions that you have based off of what Sarah just told us?
In 2026, Sarah, what is your goal for Substack as far as your audience is concerned?
Well, that is true. I didn't really talk about where that was going to go. So right now, I mainly do blogs, and I do a few notes, but my blogs is my focus. But one of the things that I have been decisively discussing with my partner is going and creating up the podcast portion of Substack, and actually creating a podcast and seeing how that layout and how that is going to work for me, because I do want guests, but I also want a monologue piece, which makes the layout a little bit a little bit different. But I am working on that podcast portion moving forward with my Substack. So that'll be exciting. So yeah.
Love it.
So
My question, you sold me at Strategy Table for a couple of reasons. I'm sure you can probably think about a couple of that's literally, I wrote it down. I have questions, all kinds of questions.
Sure.
But my first question is, honestly, how does that work? How entrepreneurs, business leaders, whoever, don't have conversations openly a lot, whether it's money, barriers, whatever it may be, because our society has this taboo-ness that we just aren't supposed to discuss these things. And we all know how I feel about that. And if you don't, I don't like it. So I'm curious, how do you do that to where honestly they feel open to open up and just tell me more about it? That's what I want to know.
Sure. And you are right. It is taboo to talk about our problems, right? And it's really civilization as a whole, right? We're not supposed to say we go to therapy, right? By the way, I go to therapy, right? So we're not supposed to talk about those things, right? And in business, you're not supposed to admit that you're faltering on something or potentially even failing at something, right? You're not supposed to say, I'm bad at this and I need help. And as entrepreneurs, all of us need to encourage those conversations. So first and foremost, it is more of a private atmosphere. I'm not going live with this, right? It's 2 to 4 people with me in a in my Go Brunch room, right? I lock the door, nobody can randomly come in. And I have a series of questions that I ask that get people to open up, right? So it's not about tell me your problem and sit on a couch and you know what I mean? It's really not therapy. It's about opening up and getting not only my perspective on your problem, but getting 2 to 4 other people's perspective on your problem. But it is a series of questions that I've developed that hopefully and has worked so far, but hopefully makes people comfortable enough to do that and do that long term with me. But the one-on-ones allow for the people that don't feel comfortable with that. Right? They can set up a strategy one-on-one with me to make sure that those barriers, they feel comfortable to get over them. And hopefully, I shouldn't say hopefully, it's one of the things I do, but hopefully they take it with them to encourage those conversations going out into the world. Because the more people that I can convince that it's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay to admit you have a problem. It's okay to ask for help. I think it'll allow more entrepreneurs to do that and to grow quicker. The more we ask for help, the quicker we can grow.
And I'm going to touch on that just a bit because, Sarah, we are also breaking that conversation inside of the co-working space and inside of all of the connecting meetings that we do. We joke, but our networking is actually business. We talk about we're trauma bonding around being a business owner. Right? Mm-hmm. What is it to actually be a business owner? And we are opening those conversations. So I think that the strategy table is taking that to the next level of more in-depth conversation that you can't necessarily have in a great big room. But I love that is fundamentally how we show up inside the Keystone Network.
I love that. It's given me like so many ideas.
Well, I love it. Bring them on. We can have a conversation after.
Yep.
Lisa's like, I'm booking now.
It's given me so many ideas with my own. I mean, my own room in Keystone and in the Go Brian. It's just I have notes. Okay.
Love it.
Right. More questions. Do either of you have some more questions based off of what Sarah had said?
I would like to know more about your coloring books as far as how, what kind of feedback have you gotten as far as how they help
Well, this is going to sound crazy. I don't know for sure. They've only been out for 2 months. So
Okay.
I can't guarantee that there is a lot of data on how well they've helped people as an individual entity. Building the workshops will give me a little more data around that. But I'm going to put somebody on the spot here for a second, because there is somebody on this call who has
Oh, I
purchased
can
one
guess
of my
who.
coloring books. So Terry, what did you think of the coloring book that you purchased?
Oh my goodness. Besides the fact that Sarah is a genius and artistic mind by her characters, I did give her a plug that I want some plushies with a few of them. But being an entrepreneur, and it helps too, but it gave me flashbacks when I was leader in the call center.
Sure.
And how I could have utilized some of those things within that environment. So I truly see how they're a win in that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So Lisa, in answer to your question though, I'm hoping that by, end of Q1, sometime in Q2 with the workshops, I'll have a better idea of the actual impact that they're having on people. Right now, a lot of people have bought them for the sheer joy of they're cute, and Sarah says they're great. You get my point. So I don't have enough data yet for that, but I am excited to learn.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think my time is up.
It is not.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Look, I have this.
Okay.
Sarah,
she was hoping her time was up.
I know, exactly. She was hoping her time was up when we started, guys. You use the word whimsy.
Mm-hmm.
And you very often say leadership is not the best. It's boring. It's this, it's that.
Yes.
And we've all experienced that. We've had leaders who are brutal. We've had really fun leaders. We've had all those different spaces. And inside of what you're trying to create, you're trying to bring that almost, yes, we're in a business, but yes, we're also family. Yes, we're human, right? The whimsy that you're trying to bring is that human aspect into leadership. Just acknowledging humans. So I would love for you to touch, and we didn't talk about this a whole lot, but a lot of your background is nonprofits. A lot of your background is Red Cross, different things, a lot of different stuff, because you've volunteered, you have done a lot. So can you kind of touch on the human aspect of HR that people are very much ignoring?
Well, yes, I'm going to talk on the whimsy stuff first. I'm not going to necessarily, but here, I'll get what I'm saying. So yes, I have worked in a lot of weirdly stressful environments. So I worked for 3 different charities that dealt with emergency assistance. And so emergency assistance is when somebody's going through something they never wanted to, let alone thought they were going to, right? One day their house existed, the next day it's floating down a river. Okay. Tragic situations. And I realized at that point that you have to meet people where they are, but what they don't want is for you to necessarily cry with them, right? So it isn't like I brought whimsy to the situations, but I started to carry what was, and it has a little t-shirt on now, and it's sitting way over there, and I would go get it, but I'd have to leave the screen. But it's a little teddy bear that is a emotional support teddy bear. And so when adults or kids alike were sitting across from me, and I knew that they didn't want to answer all my questions, because in order to get financial assistance after an emergency, I need to know who you are, right? So I can't just I need to know who you are. So I would let them hold this bear, and I can't tell you how many random adults would hold this bear. Grown men would hold this bear and hold it tight while they were answering my questions. A little bit of, and I don't even know if that's considered whimsy, but you get my point, a little bit of comfort, a little bit of something to ease the situation. And so when it comes to HR, the reason I say that it needs whimsy is because most people think HR is payroll or when I get in trouble, right? And the problem is for the most part, that's true, right? Most people say, I want to avoid HR, but what we should be getting to is all the reasons that HR can help you, right? Do you have questions on how to have a better relationship with your 401k? The first person you should start with is your HR person, because they're the one that set it up. Now, if you really want to know how to have a better savings plan for your 401k, you should talk to Lisa or Forrest or a bunch of other people. But your HR person is where you start. They do things like that. But that's just one example. And it's boring. HR people, every HR person out there is saying it's boring. And their solution is, again, those pizza parties on Fridays. But what it really needs to be is those thank yous throughout the day, right? One of the things that I did a long time ago, I had all my staff was virtual. And I worked for a military nonprofit at that point. And I found these little white like stuffies that were gorillas with a American flag on their belly. They were the funniest looking weird things ever, right? They were solid white with a little flag on their belly. I mailed them out to everybody on my team, and I didn't put a from. I put just like, I think I put Lansing, Michigan, right? Because I'm like, if I don't get it back, it's fine. But I wanted it, like, they just got it randomly. And everybody was like, where'd you get it? You got one too? It was the greatest thing I ever did. I never told anybody I sent them out. That to this day, oh, maybe somebody's watching now. But to this day, nobody knew I sent them out. And so little things like that, like go in early, put a little thing on somebody's desk for a good thing they did yesterday, right? If you know, like there was one time this guy, his favorite candy was the Haribo, right? And, when you needed a favor, you brought Haribo with you. But it was just a funny thing to do, right? Because he's like, it's like Klondike bars, right? I'll do anything for a Klondike bar. He would do anything for Haribo. And so, yeah, just little things. If you pay attention and add whimsy, it can make the workplace and the world a little bit better.
Awesome. So for everybody who is watching, Sarah, go otbp.com and HRFixer42, because 42 is the answer to everything. .substack.com is Sarah's spaces where you can learn more and build more with her. Thank you so much, Sarah. We greatly appreciate you. All right, hotspot Terry. Terry, we are super excited to have you a part of everything that we are working on and doing. I'm super excited to just give you this space, and it is your time. Shine.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I have to admit, after working for an employer for, I would say, almost 17 years, and 11 of that in leadership, and when I got laid off, along with everybody else that was left, I needed Sarah, because I became the worst employee ever. So don't worry about those things that you need to say, because I was bold enough to say it, and that was part of the reason why I became a bad employee. So I can help you out with that list. And I realized at that point I needed to become an entrepreneur, because working for somebody just wasn't having it anymore. And I started a business, and I probably needed Lisa, because in the course of life started to happen. And when my father transitioned and my mother became ill, I was all at that back of that financial situation I was in after my layoff. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not the way it needs to be. I'm supposed to be going forward, not backwards. And now where I had stability, it's starting to be instability again. And that wasn't cool. So that's when I became a travel business owner. And Harmony 818 Travels, I believe in names make difference, and numbers are phenomenal. So I can relate with Sarah with the 42. 818 is my dad's birthday, and Harmony is his name. Every name has a little meaning. So Alan is my dad's name, and Harmony has a sense with his name. So I started my travel business company. And through this business, it helped me navigate life transitions and also rebuild financially. And that's sort of my focus, you guys. Yes, I book travel. I love it. With anything, we all have our likes, which generate niches. So I like booking cruises because I am bougie, but cruises allow you to be bougie on a more economical figure, so that I'm able to fulfill people's dreams to go to these different exotic places, but at a budget through cruises. I also like all-inclusives because when it comes down to giving back time and being supportive, and people just need to relax. Everybody needs a vacation, and all-inclusives gives that, take away the what ifs. What am I going to eat? It takes away that. Activities. What am I going to do? It takes away that. So I like to make everything simple. So I love to do all-inclusives. And I'm an introvert and I'm kind of scary. So guided tours, I like that, because if I was going to go in another country, I'll be that scared one. And when you go travel abroad, you want to see the places. So having those experts there help me. And what I like to do with that is to be able to give them the guided tours. But my biggest thing is, you remember I said everybody deserves a vacation. And entrepreneurs don't seem to take vacations like people who get those 40 hours and purchase PTO time. And one of the reasons why they don't is because they gotta work in their own business, and to take that time to research, to take that time to juggle pricing and things of that nature, it takes so much different time. They're like, never mind. And they keep putting that needed rest away in the back burner, and they don't get to pour into them. And then guess what happens? They get burned out. So that's where I come into place, and I be able to help. And my services are free. My consultations, my ability to do the researches are free because I get paid on the back end by the supplier. So that also helps, not just the people who are employed, but the people who are entrepreneurs. They got to pour in their own business. Sometimes they don't got that extra money to get somebody else to do that. So that is something that I believe. And I'm into partnership. So it's not about what I want to do for my clients. It's about keeping that communication line open in order to say, okay, what do you want? How do you want it? Give them some creative ideas. But I have a left-handed Virgo brother. And I don't know if you know anything about left-handed people or Virgos. Okay, they're brilliant people. But I learned to have thick skin from that young man. And so with that being said, my feelings don't get hurt if I have to go back to the drawing board, because my desire is to make sure that all my clients that I book travel for, that it becomes an experience that they love. The other part of my business is, as far as travel is concerned, is I have the ability to assist others in starting their own travel agency. And why that is important to me is because, for one, when my mother fell ill with chronic heart failure, family was first. I spent too much time when I worked for somebody else putting somebody else first. So as being a business owner, I had the autonomy to say, wait a minute, my family comes first. And when I did, the company that I had previously, I made a decision to no longer accept new clients, no matter what. And life happens. So my clientele disappeared. And when they started to disappear, I was like, oh my God, where's the money at? And Sarah knows that with HR, that when you get a job, there is an attendance policy and usually a probation period. So I knew that I couldn't go out and get employment because my family became first. So I probably would have got terminated in my first 30 days because of attendance, because as I stated, my family was first. So I needed something that fit around my schedule and provided the flexibility and little overhead, because I already had a business I was running. So I didn't need something that required me to have to put a big financial investment in it. In addition to the fact, remember I told you I became the worst employee? So I didn't need to start something that somebody was going to be down my back saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, that was not going to happen. And that's when I was introduced to travel. And I was like, wow, where had this been all my life? If I would have heard about this when I got laid off, I would have started it. And I think that for me, the reason why I'm passionate about sharing the information about it is because some people don't know. And you can't get impacted with something that you don't know anything about. And travel is soon to be a $15 trillion business. My host agency has earned $1 billion in 2025. So people are traveling. And I used to work for a financial institution. So I know that when it came down to their credit cards and their bank accounts and things of that nature, sometimes they didn't pay a bill, but they knew how to go on a trip. That's just the reality. Lisa probably knows that too. They priorities. So there is not anybody who's not going to go to trips. And some people may not go that often, but it's mandated. People pass away, people graduated, people get married. There's different reasons why people may do something small, even not as a big magnitude. So that is something that I'm able to educate people with and give them an opportunity. And based upon economy right now, having a single source of income isn't really cutting it, you guys. And some people aren't fancy with the Cricut, which isn't me. Some people aren't creative with the drawing, which isn't me. And some people are terrible with GPS, so I could never be a Uber driver, a Lyft driver, or do DoorDash. So with people like that, if they're in my boat and they're looking for something, I may have something for them that will work. And that is something that I tend to offer. Two other things that branch off of that is one, I believe in giving back. I'm also one of 4 founding members of a local nonprofit. It's called Star Haven. And we house the homeless single population and provide them transition to permanent housing. And in that, we also have additional wraparound services that we provide. We have a tiny food pantry, which I host one, that in my neighborhood. And so there's different things that we do, but it's important to give back. So a percentage of my proceeds that I earn, I pour back into my nonprofit. In addition to the fact that we are hosting an event, February the 28th is the actual happening of the event, but it's the coldest night of the year. And what we're doing is we're doing fundraising to be able to pour back into our tiny home community, that we have some land. We have 3 units that we're building out. So that way, when people are ready to transition into something that is a little bit more permanent, but yet they haven't gotten the finances enough to be able to get that 3-bedroom house or whatever, they could be able to take and live in this tiny home and it be their own. And so that is something that we're working on, and we're going to use this funds in order to fund this initiative. But we have other initiatives in the works, like we have mobile buses that we're going to plant in different cities that will be considered sort of like warming spaces for those to come in from out the cold, lay down, rest their head. And during this particular winter season, and those to come, even when it get hot outside, we'll have it where it's a cooling station versus a warming station. So that is something I believe is important, is to give back. Because when I used to work for a company, there was this list of things that I could take some of my income and put it through. So now I have my own nonprofit that I'm able to pour into. So helping me also helps others when that comes into play. And the last thing is DMS Collective. I talked about that earlier in the introduction. And that turned out to, even though I was voluntold, it's a real big passion of mine, because multi-level marketing, network marketing is a good source. However, if someone isn't fortunate enough to be part of a great community, which I am outside of Skyline Circle, Keystone Network, but I have within my own organization phenomenal mentors, sideline partners, etc., that's always there to support, coach, develop, and build off ideas. But sometimes people get into multi-level marketing, network marketing, have the potential to do phenomenal in the industry, but for whatever reason, they don't have an attachment to support. And that hurts me. It really does. I'm a big heart. I care about people. And I've like, come on, come here. Let me help you. Let me support you. Now, I'm not an accountability coach like my friend Brittany, and I'm not even going to act like I want to have that responsibility. So this is not a place where you're going to get training by me. This isn't a place where you're going to get this full-fledged platform that you do XYZ. It is a place for support. It is a place for community. It is a place that, no, you're not being pitched, okay? You're not going to be somebody telling you, come over where I'm at. No. I wanted it to be solely supportive, where we can feed off of each ideas. We can talk about what's working well. Now, there will be additional areas where there may be some things that we can have discussions with, because I truly believe that personal development is key and mindset is key. So we would have topics and conversations in order to keep the dialogue going, to get that fire burning, to be able to say, wait a minute, I didn't think about it like that. And so that is what is being birthed inside DMS Collective. And DMS stands for duplication, multiplication, and success. And that just doesn't work within network marketing, multi-level marketing. That can be done in anything personal in your life. You keep doing something with consistency and keep doing it and keep doing it, it will eventually multiply. And then you'll find yourself, wait a minute, I'm successful. And you can dust off your shoulders in regards to that.
Love it. Thank you so much, Terry. And I want to touch on the DMS Collective because it's a space where you treat MLMs and network marketers as business owners. I think that it's really important to understand that inside of the networking world, there's so many people who dismiss those type of businesses, and they're not even understanding that, one, these people have to personal brand, and two, they have to push a product, right? Even if it's I'm pushing a sales or travel, I'm pushing a drink or a shake, they have to be present inside of a personal brand, and they have to run a company's branding as well. So for them to be dismissed is a very difficult thing, and that's where Sarah voluntold, which is our new catchphrase. If you network with us, we're going to hear something you should do, and voluntold you to do it, because we're challenging you to take your business to the next level. But also we're challenging you to show up. And Terry, you are such an amazing support system for people who want to grow and build and really learn that space of, how do I manage these two worlds inside of what I'm doing? So it's very great to be able to see that and build that. I'm going to open up your 10 minutes unless you have a little bit more to say, because you do have more time.
I am working on a special project, you guys. It is a trip. It will be in 2026, the winter. And I'm excited because for supportive, and I call it supportive caregivers for aging parents, and those that are help caretakers, and just those who are busy in life, we need a moment that we can woosah. And what better way to do it but in Punta Cana, where you can be at a wellness retreat, have the opportunity that every day that you're there to get at least a 30-minute massage. And that is something that I'm working on, opening up to the public. I launched it yesterday, so I'm really, really excited about opening that up and getting some people in a space where they can just take away. It's not going to be a long period of time, because when you're caregivers and you run your own businesses, you cannot be away for an extended period of time. So it's going to be 4 days, 3 nights, and 4 days away. And it's going to be in the wintertime, because I want to finances. When you're a caregiver and when you are running business, you just can't most of the time whip out a credit card or just pay for something up front. So here it is. You have, a long period in order to pay on it, in order to make it come to fruition, because I think everyone deserves a vacation. But I'm biased. To being an adult child, supporting an adult aging parent. We need a break sometimes, because we scared we're going to get a whooping by our own parents. So.
I love it. All right, I'm going to open us up to the 10-minute Q&A. Go ahead. And who wants to ask questions?
Well, I have a series of questions, but the first thing I want to say is I love that you're doing this for caregivers. And the reason that I say that, and it's not because I want to go, but I want you to understand the caregiver concept for me was really interesting. I was never a caregiver until I moved in where I'm living now with my partner. And his oldest is extremely autistic. She's 23. She's never going to be able to live on her own. But this was probably 6 months ago. And I think I told Brittany about it. But somehow somebody was like, oh, yeah, caregivers. I'm like, I'm not a caregiver. Right. And I was like, I'm like in my head, I'm like, no, I'm just taking care of the kid that lives with me. I'm not a caregiver. Right. To me, I had this block in my head of what that means. Right. But when you have to build your life around someone else. Right. And I don't mean I have a 17-year-old who's a typical. Yes, I have to do stupid things for the 17-year-old too. But but I can leave him home alone. You get my point? That's different. I don't have to, I should probably bathe him. The bathing would probably be better, but he can bathe himself. He can feed himself. He can stay home alone. Right. But she can never do those things. And so it's one of those things, we build our life around that. And to me, that's very giving caregivers that time away is very helpful and very, encouraging, so that they can have that space to also talk about that, because getting away means that you can make the jokes that other people will understand, right? You can be like, no, my autistic child still does stupid things. It doesn't mean that you get my point? She's still a typical child in a lot of ways. And so when you're like, yeah, she's being a brat today. Oh, you shouldn't do that because she's autistic. No, she's just an autistic brat today. It's okay. But there's only, and I'm saying this right now, and there'll be people that hate what I just said, right? Because I shouldn't say that, but people that are caregivers understand where I'm coming from. And so I'm going to leave that. That really wasn't a question. So I will get to the question though. The first question is, one of the things that I loved about you starting the collective is multi-level marketing and network marketing has different barriers than a traditional entrepreneur, right? Because you have to use certain logos, you have to use certain things, and then you have the creativity on top of that. So you're actually having double the work in a lot of ways to get the same level of, especially social media marketing out there. What are your thoughts on that, and how does the collective anticipate addressing some of those barriers that people have?
That's a great question. Yes, every company has compliance, and it's essential, because even though within the multi-level marketing, network marketing world, you are your own business owner. usually 1099.
Sure.
You just can't whimsically just do whatever you want. Because if you do, they would say, thank you for your service. We appreciate you. But now you're a risk to our company and we got to let you go. So you definitely want to make sure that you're compliant. As far as social media and the things of that nature, I think what I've observed by speaking to other people in my industry is fear.
Oh.
The fear of what are people going to think? You know, what is, you know, what, oh, it's that pyramid, it's this, that. And then the inability to be consistent because of that fear. So then it becomes a platform of encouragement in the DMS collective to just go ahead and do it. One of the things that we're projecting to do in 2026 is posting parties. Because one of the things that we notice in this industry is, even if we're talking about our product or the referral-based part of it, is that people look at our posts but do not engage. But they're very much watching and lurking and trolling and whatever the case may be, and just being on the back burner looking. So with the posting party, it gives the post engagement. It gives the post awareness. And yes, there's some things that I'm not no meta universe person, but it does help the algorithm to get on other people's radar. So that is something that I want to utilize in that space to support. And then bring in subject matter experts. Because again, I told you, I'm not taking on that responsibility to do certain things, but there are people within our industry that they have the following, they have the reviews, they have the XYZ, they are considered digital content makers in their own right, and maybe have some of them come and speak and give tips on reels or tips on the way to present themselves. And that's another thing that I want to be able to bring in that platform to support.
I love that. I love that. Lisa, I'm sorry. Do you have any questions? No,
the only thing I was going to say is I was going to commend her about the caregivers too, because I have, my oldest is also on the spectrum. They've changed what they call it so many times. She's level 2, which was used to be Asperger's. And she's 22, and cognitively she's on any given day, anywhere between the brat and a 16-year-old. Okay. Mm-hmm. She's smart as a whip. Yes, she can, feed herself. She can't cook a lot of stuff. She cannot be left alone for more than maybe an hour and a half or so. We have to be very specific when I say you need to go take a shower. Most of the times I'm going to be the one washing her hair first, and then she'll bathe, but I have to be very specific. She is vocal, she can walk. So there is these different huge end of the spectrum. And at the same time, my daughter doesn't drive. So if she has to go anywhere, okay, and I mean anywhere, I'm the one that's either picking her up or, dropping her off, or like she just went to a friend's house. And while we were doing this, I got a text from her saying, I knew you were on a call. I didn't want to ask you while you were on the call. Can you pick me up tonight? And I'm like, yes. And it can't be during this time because I'm going to be on a live later on tonight. So I agree with Sarah. There are times I bowl. I love bowling. I'm an avid, I do tournaments, I do leagues. And people ask me all the time, why do I do that? And it's so I can have Lisa time, because I am mama, and my daughter has mental health disorder. She's autistic. So she sees a psychologist to help her with her cognitive skills. She sees a psychiatrist. She has a neurologist for her tremors. I could go on. And mama helped fight for her SSI. Mama helped do other things. It's just like what Sarah's saying. Mama's making sure she eats. Mama's making sure she's, walking and doing the things that should be doing to take care of herself. And I agree with Sarah. Sometimes it can become a lot, just like I'm sure it is with, an aging parent, right? And just having that time to just be away.
Yes.
And I also have the 14-year-old teenager who can talk back and be sassy and all of that. And and I can leave her alone longer. So I just commend you for actually doing something like that, because I've never looked at it as I am a caregiver. I know I am. And the likelihood of her ever living on her own is very slim. And I know that. And that means being able to have time away is important.
Yes. 100%.
Love it.
Do we still have time? Because I had one last clarifying question from way at
Yeah,
the
go ahead
beginning.
and ask. We still have time. I have questions too, so go for it.
Okay, so my last question is, at the beginning, you were talking about guided tours, and maybe I missed it. So do you actually guide people, or do you set up the guided tour? Like, if I wanted to have a guided tour of Maui, do I get to have you with me?
You would be lost.
Spinning in circles.
Yeah. No.
I've seen this tree.
I was
That right there, no. There's suppliers that they have people that is their job. They got, y'all will be in a bad place. I am looking for positive reviews. I can see the reviews if I
Terry, you don't want us to pay for you to go on vacation with us and just get us lost in places?
Well, I was going to say she could coordinate it and have the guide and her just be there with us, pointing out the certain things about it. That'd be kind of cool.
I mean, there are perks and opportunities for doing groups. So there may be an opportunity, depending on how many people, that I'll be able to hang. Yeah. But no, you don't want me to tour. It is definitely someone that is through the suppliers.
Got it. I wasn't 100% clear on that at the beginning.
That's a great clarifying question, because anybody listening to this that know me is like, that is not going to be fun.
She mentioned she does not do GPS. All right,
Well,
Terry,
and from my perspective, I can't go anywhere without a guide. Like, no one wants me to go anywhere alone because I may never come back. So anyways, Brittany, go ahead.
She'll sit at a tree with a book. We'll never see her. So, Terry, I'm going to wrap this up with one last question. You just recently did your first in-person table. And inside of that in-person table, you brought up these beautiful flyers that you printed, and you were talking about churches and how they're doing missions. And like, as a member of the church, when you are a part of the Terry Hill travel team, you can help your church get to places. And when you were mentioning the different types of people who go on vacations, families, weddings, you didn't mention churches. And I would love for you to give us an insight on what does that look like to really be able to dive into any community, whether it be a church or different areas where they are exploring and going out for different purposes, and how you could utilize your community to help you and go with them. Like I said, we'll pay you, go tour guide us. So that would be the last question I would love for you to answer.
Great question. So yes, mission trips, using the church as example. There's so many churches and religious organizations that believe in going to retreats and different places that they can see the Holy Land or whatever the case may be. Well, think about the fact that if you were a travel business owner, not only can you be the hero for your organization and get this set up for them, but you also can utilize that as a revenue opportunity and be that organization's go-to for travel. I think about it too on a nonprofit side. Carnival Cruise Line is one of the cruise lines that I'm familiar with that has a give back program for nonprofits, that they do a fundraising initiative for that. So think about the win that I had this year and in 2026 with a group trip that I'm doing on a Carnival Cruise Line, where I get to utilize this opportunity that my nonprofit is able to get a check from Carnival just by doing this group. And then I get paid, and a percentage of my proceeds go back to the nonprofit. So it's a win in that regards. And sometimes we got to think outside of the box, because I think about caregivers and those with, when you think about children and family members and friends that are special needs, there are different suppliers that is their goal, to make sure that their environment caters to the light sensitivity, the noise sensitivity. There's this area that those with special needs can be able to go and vacation and have fun. And I'm able to help, or some of their partners with me able to help, or just you saying this is what I want. We're able to provide those particular outlets to be able to supply, to be able to benefit any mission.
Love it, Terry. Thank you so much. All right, Lisa, we are hot spotting Lisa. I'm super excited. Lisa, go ahead and just dive in. Tell us about you.
I'm Lisa Marie. I'm the fractional CFO, wealth mentor, founder of Transcendent Wealth Company. I am known as the Sassy Wealth Queen. Honestly, what I do is I help entrepreneurs who are making the money, but they're trying to figure out how to multiply it. So I help them make it, manage it, and multiply it, because what they're missing is that managed piece. But I do it where they can manage it, manage and multiply it with confidence and clarity, but having that strategy. And yeah, I'm going to say a whole lot of sass because I'm sassy. The reason why I do this work is because, and reason why I created it is because, well, one, I've been there. For over 20 years, I was in corporate. I am a lot older than I look. And I was barely making ends meet. Just be honest. I was in accounting, finance for a big, huge law firm, audited their stuff, did their things, and I was living in financial chaos. I was barely making ends meet. I had already gone through one foreclosure and a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, rebuilt my credit, and since then had rebuilt my credit several times. So I'm 52, so a total of 2 foreclosures, a short sale, a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and we won't even talk about how many repossessions. The point in all of that is when I started I also got laid off, Terry. I used to brag about how many layoffs I made it through, y'all. It's really, really sad when you think about it. But we would feel relieved because we made it through another layoff. And then I didn't. And I freaked out for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm tired of the migraines. I'm tired of the tension headaches. I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I know it now. And I made the decision I was going to start my business. And I want y'all to know that I had to have my vehicle the last repossession done for the last time. Thank you. And it was voluntary. I had to call them and tell them to come get it. I was on food stamps. I had no savings. I started my business that way. I'm now just started into my 10th year. So it's 9 years. And in 3 years, I took it from food stamps to multiple 6 figures. So in that, I had to learn not just the employee mindset to having an entrepreneur mindset, but it was going from that scarcity mindset to having the abundance mindset, because going from not making ends meet to all of a sudden having money, it can be really scary. So in my journey, I found and I created these 5 wealth codes. And that's what I do is I teach people to build wealth. But I'm not doing it from a pedestal. I'm teaching it from experience, from resilience. I know what it's like. I know I've been there. I know what it's like to have to decide how you're going to pay a light bill or if you're going to put food on the table. And the 5 wealth codes are really important because I do it differently than a lot of people. I bring holistic in there because I believe being wealthy is different than being rich. You can be rich and be miserable. Being wealthy is you're living it aligned with your values and your goals and your beliefs. And so that's the reason why I have those 5 wealth codes. And those 5 wealth codes are spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, and financial. So like spiritual wealth is living in alignment with what you believe, your values, and your intuition. And I started with that because, in my opinion, if you don't have the spiritual wealth, well, it's just going to ripple over. You got to believe in something, right? I think all of us have heard you got to believe in something or you're going to believe in nothing. And in a lot of ways, that's true. The emotional wealth is handling your emotions without letting them steer your money decisions or any decisions that's going to affect your money or your business. Mental wealth is your beliefs, your thoughts, the stories that shape your money. And mental wealth is important because our society, we have a mental health issue. It's just, we have it. And it's a taboo subject, just like money and anything else. And I believe that it needed to be part of the wealth codes because we struggle. And if we're having issues with our financial or our mental wealth or our emotional wealth, it's going to leak over into all those other ones. And then our physical wealth is us taking care of our body. That doesn't mean exercising, like being a fitness guru. That just means moving your body, eating what's good for you, making sure that you're taking care of yourself. I've learned the hard way, burning out is not a good way to do it. Because you will crash and you can't take care of anyone else if you don't have any energy. And financial wealth, which most people get very surprised that I put that last, but I put that last for a reason, because it doesn't start with the money, it ends with the money. Because if we're depleted in all those other areas, it's not going to matter what we do to make the money, it's just not going to come. But financial wealth is the strategy and the systems and having that structure. And my big, huge thing is I want people to understand that it doesn't have to be hard. I do understand there are going to be some people who are going to be living paycheck to paycheck. I also wish I'd have had this concept and the concept of the 3 top profit leaks that actually can be leaked in any of those 5 wealth codes, because if I had, I think I would have managed my money differently when I was paycheck to paycheck. Now, am I saying that it would have answered all of it? Probably not, but it would have solved a whole bunch of things because I would have looked at things differently. And had those leaks are like the awareness of values leak, the additive abundance leak, and the allocation of assets leak. And then with me saying those, you can see how you can have those leaks in any of those 5 areas. And that's the reason why I created them, because when I first had profit leaks, I had 7, I'll be honest, and they really didn't fit. So I wouldn't teach them. I wouldn't teach about them. And then it came to me and I was like, this is why. It needs to be something that makes sense. So how are we aware of where we're putting our values and what our values are? Like, are we doing something outside of what our value is? And a lot of times we get sucked into whatever's going on in society or whatever someone else in the business world is telling us. And that's what happens. And so I teach my clients and the people, with the podcast and all, to come back centered and really look at what those are. And the cool thing is it's not going to be cookie cutter, because Brittany, your values may be similar to mine, but you're also going to have some that are separate than mine because we're 2 different human beings, right? Sarah's going to be the same way. Terry's going to be the same way. So it's really cool. And the attitude of abundance is where that fear mindset comes in, that fear-based decisions, the panic. And so often we start making decisions out of that instead of going, wait, and coming back to, who we are. The areas that you can work, how I help my clients is I have a money mindset mentorship. So this is a self-paced program for entrepreneurs and individuals who need to shift their beliefs, rewrite their money story. They're ready to release the shame. They're ready to figure out where that story came from, and be honest with themselves and build a true relationship and a healthy relationship with money. Because I say that if we treat money like a tool and like a relationship, and we treat it like we're having a good relationship with it, we're going to get a lot further with it. Then there's my Wealth Alignment Accelerator. That's a 90-day program that is going to be launching next year. That's going to be helping more towards entrepreneurs plug their profit leaks, embody the wealth codes in all areas of their business, and it'll also carry over into their personal life. And then we're going to help them basically create what I call a money roadmap, but a roadmap for them to truly be able to go and build their wealth. It just gives them a way to no cookie cutter is the only way I know how to put it. I don't do anything cookie cutter. I'm not great at baking, so cookie cutter wouldn't work for me. And then I have my Profit First experience, which actually is a shorter, smaller version stemmed from my one-on-one. My one-on-one is Profit Queen Partnership. That is my high-level private one-on-one 12 months. And it's, how do I put it? You get me in your back pocket.
Oh.
Is the only way I know how to put it. I am probably the only fractional CFO wealth mentor. When you're one-on-one with me, you get access to my cell phone. You get my phone number, and that is how you contact me, is by texting me. I tell people it's unlimited within reason, but none of my, if they're great clients, and all my clients are, they don't expect me to answer at all hours, right? I put my phone on D&D, but my clients, they have that unlimited access because, one, we're dealing with their money. And I'm hands in it. I'm in their money. I'm helping them create a system that works for them so that they have the money set up for their taxes. They have money put aside for going on vacations. They have money put aside for making investments back into 401ks, making other wealth investments, whatever those goals are. We build this roadmap and we literally create it. And we're looking at, okay, what are your goals for your business and your life? And then how do we build that? And if there are leaks, let's plug them and let's fix it. And so then I have clients who'll go, oh, I need to talk to my fractional CFO before I do anything. And they do that so that they don't have to make a decision right away, because their brain wants to make a decision right away. And so it's really, I tell them, so look, just blame me. It's okay. They don't know me. They're not going to, but they get that peace of mind, and they have, it's in a way an accountability person too, because they can come and talk and say, I really want to do this, and I'm not sure how. Do you think this is possible? And we talk about it and we figure it out. And then we're able to strategize money-wise. Okay, yeah, we can make this happen. Right. So it's really cool. The Profit First experience is on a smaller scale of that. That's basically where I come in, get the information from them. Then I build the roadmap with them for the structure and all. We do it together, and then they go and handle it all on their own afterwards. So it's, they handle building it and managing it and doing all the things afterwards. Along with that, coming in 2026, there's going to be self-paced courses and some other things coming. We're totally revamping. Y'all, my website's moving. Everything's moving. It's a thing. And so there's going to be other self-paced courses, trainings. Right now, I do have the, I think it's a money mindset course. It's a recording. It's, it's on my website, and it's there. There's going to be other ones coming. One of the other things that I do that I'm really passionate about, and that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about next year, what we're going to be doing, excuse me, is I have Cash and Sass podcast. That podcast is my baby. I started it almost 2 years ago. We're having a small break, but that's because we're revamping it and coming back bigger and better than ever. It's where we have candid conversations is what we call it. But we have candid money conversations. We talk about anything and everything money. Nothing is off the table. We're kicking money taboo to the curb. If it involves money, we talk about it. Y'all, there's an episode on there about relationships and money, sex and money. They're honestly, it's really cool because I don't let it be superficial. We have to be able to go deep. We have to be raw. We got to be honest, because there are so many podcasts that aren't having those conversations. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to have those conversations. And so far, everyone has loved it and said that it's, they're waiting for the new episodes to come back. They want to know when they're coming back. So next year, it's going to be solo and guest. So there's going to be an episode released twice a week instead of once a week. And then I have my new podcast that I'm doing with one of my dear friends we're doing it live on TikTok, and we started it today. And it's called Two Pink-Haired Ladies and a Microphone. And yes, we both have pink hair. And it's an honest conversation, unfiltered, no planning, no script, everything and anything about entrepreneurship, money, entrepreneurship, everything that goes into having a business. Because it's going to be the same thing. It's because there's so much lying going on around what it's like to have a business, what it's like to be an entrepreneurship, that we want to have those candid conversations that nobody else is having because it's so taboo, and just basically get it out. We've decided we're going to do it live on TikTok. And so far we've gotten really good reception. It's every Thursday at 11 a.m. And then I also am now going live on there twice a week. Mondays is Money Mic Drop Mondays, and Fridays is the Money Open Mic. And both of those are about 6-ish. Oh, I can't talk. 6-ish p.m. I'm saying ish. So if I'm at 6:15 or 6:30, I'm not late. Somebody taught me that. I stole it and I love it. But it's about 6 p.m. Monday and Friday, live on there. And again, it's to have those conversations to where we're talking about money, we're talking about the wealth codes, we're having conversations, being able to ask questions, because so often so many of us are just afraid to learn about it, but we want to. And then I'm going to be in the Go Brunch and the Keystone Network, and going to have the Q&A room, which is going to also, I have a lot starting in January, y'all. I went from hiding to all of this. And it's I'm excited for it because it's time. My business has shifted, and I'm excited that I'm going to be able to help not only entrepreneurs, but also individuals. And, the Q&A room is going to be, again, another way of being able to have these questions. And I like the idea of being able to lock the room so not just anybody can come in once people are there, because I know what it's like for people to be honest when they're having issues with money, or they have a question about money. And what I want people to know is not talking about it didn't work. So how about let's try talking about it?
Love it. Beautiful. So I do want to talk about that Q&A inside of the community. When you're doing that, the idea that we talked about is really at the beginning of the week, here's the topic, and then on Thursday we're gonna or on a different day, whatever day, then we're gonna have a live conversation where people can post. If they're gonna miss the live conversation, they can post and ask questions about this topic. And so every week we're going to really exchange in that mindset and that community. What for you are you like? What are you thinking this is? Because I know what I think it's going to bring to the community, but what do you think it's going to bring to the community?
I'm hoping it'll bring unity and not feeling alone. right now, let's be honest, everything going on in the world, people are worried, right? I mean, I'm gonna be honest, the increase in health insurance, if you're an entrepreneur or if you're not an entrepreneur, you're an employee, it's being felt all the way around. So money is that fear and that I don't want to say scarcity mindset, but I want to also, in some ways, the scarcity mindset is starting to pop up more and more. And I think it's going to pop up even more as these things start to come about. And again, not talking about it has gotten us no place good. And I think talking about it and learning that, one, it doesn't have to be hard. Two, there's a reason why the cookie cutter budget things on Etsy and all those places don't work. They're not built for you and your lifestyle and your goals and your values. And I think that being able to have a open conversation, one, not only just have the open conversation, but have it with someone who's been there and done that. I think there's a difference between me being a wealth mentor and you being able to talk with me than you talking to some big guru who's never actually had to be there and have to sit there and make a decision as to whether or not they were going to pay this bill or that bill, or how they were going to put food on the table. And in my opinion, that speaks volumes. And that's the reason why I tell people I start where you're at. There is no judgment. And I think that's a really big, I'm adamant about that absolutely no judgment can go on, because we're all going through something we don't know anything about.
Love it. I am going to open up your Q&A. So
Yay.
go ahead if anybody in the chats has any comments or anything. And then, of course, Sarah and Terry, what would you like to ask?
So really quick, my first question is, and I apologize if you can hear other people, I will mute myself in a second, but my first question is, what's your TikTok handle? Because I will go follow you.
My handle everywhere is the Sassy Wealth Queen. The only one that's not, even business one on Facebook is the same thing. My personal one on Facebook is Lisa SWC. But my handle on TikTok is at the Sassy Wealth Queen. And you can't miss the picture, I promise.
It's got all the pink hair.
It's pink hair and there's a pink circle around. It's pink. Come on now.
Love it. Awesome. Terry, any questions for you?
Well, first of all, who's best to provide wealth management and wealth guidance? There's somebody who is a living testimony of their own experience. It makes the credibility there. And you're, like you said, no judgment zone. Yeah. So that is phenomenal. What's one money habit you feel every entrepreneur should start?
Ooh, you know what? The very first one that pops in my head, I'm gonna say it: practice gratitude. And I know that sounds like, what you want? And I'm gonna tell back. You want me to say thank you? Yes. When you pay a bill, say thank you. And trust me, when someone said that to me, my answer was, why in the hell would I say thank you? Spending money. And here's the thing. Why wouldn't you? Because you had it to spend. You had it to so even to this day, I do a dance when I get paid. I dance and I say thank you. And it's not being egotistical, it's celebrating it. It's practicing that abundance. It's being thankful that I was paid. And it doesn't matter if it's from one of the social medias and it's only $4 and whatever, or if it's from another social media and it's 200 and something. Or it's from a client. It doesn't matter. I am thankful for every single penny. And then when I pump gas in my vehicle, I say thank you. And the reason why I say that's the first one to do is because a lot of times we want more money, but we have a block of it leaving. And we need to understand that money is energy, money's a tool. It's supposed to flow both ways. right? And if we're thankful, oh, thank you. Thank you that I had the card that had money in it that I could put gas in my vehicle. Thank you that I had the money. Listen, I know what it's like not to be able to pay a car payment. I know what it's like to have my vehicle repossessed. So I say thank you every single time that I have made my vehicle payments on time, had the money. I'm like, thank you. Do I like, and same way with paying taxes. Do I like paying taxes? No, but who does? And I'm thankful that I have to pay taxes, because if I pay taxes, that means I have a profitable business. So practicing that gratitude. And I got to be clear on this too. Don't say thank you like, oh, thank you. You know what I mean? And just think that you got to actually believe it in here. And at first you might not, but you got to take 30 seconds, take a deep breath and say, as soon as you catch yourself going to say something negative, just go, thank you. I promise over time, it's a game changer.
Well, and I completely agree. Words matter. And if somebody's out there thinking, I'm not saying thank you, at least in your head, say thank you to yourself for getting that money, right? Say thank you to me. If you don't want to thank the world or the whatever, like thank yourself, because you got yourself there, right? And words matter. So I think that's, 100%. And this piece of advice that Terry just said, like what would be your first thing to advise people to do? But this leads me to my question of, in the Biz Storming community, right? And the Go Collab community that Brittany, you're going to be having a space in there where you're doing weekly conversation starters, or however you're building that. What does that look like in that community? What are you envisioning that people are going to see in there?
That's a good question. I'm hoping it'll be camaraderie, especially with being able to see ways of being able to maybe to grow their business even more, or manage their money differently, or start a business differently. You know what I mean? Because
Sure.
so often doing these things it's scary, right? Especially when you go to think about the money piece. And again, it comes down to, okay, we're going to have a place that we can go, that we can talk with, and I know I'm not going to be judged, and I can be honest. And and here's the thing, I may learn something from y'all too, because Terry may have tried something that I hadn't thought about, right? And she may mention, say, well, I've been trying this and this works. And this is how I end up getting other ideas and saying, well, you know what? This is something that somebody else does and it works for them. Why not? How about try this? Because that's the big piece of it. Like me managing my money. Someone asked me once, what budgeting thing did I like? The $0, or going always zero, or like the profit first method for business or whatever. And I said, can you take all these pieces, like certain parts of them, and just throw them up in the air and then they come down? That's what I did. I took the part I liked about this, I took the part I liked about this, I took the part I liked about this, and I smashed it together, and I created what I believe, because there's different pieces, and in that one part may work more for you, Sarah. So we use more of that other part of those three that I took. And so I think that that's one of the things that I'm hoping they'll see, is there's not a one size fit all of one way of doing things, that there's
Sure.
a way to make it work for them.
I love that.
All right. Any other questions? I've got one.
Go for it.
All right. And also Dom said that it was great to meet Lisa, because he has not met you yet. But Lisa, you were talking about experience, holistic, wealthy versus rich. I love all of those conversations, right? Inside of money. And then you talked about how, first of all, I want you all to know that I wrote tuba, but the word is taboo. Don't ask.
I was like, tuba? When did I say tuba?
That would be amazing, though. This is how the conversation goes.
Just so you're all aware, I might text you horribly, but I also write my notes the way I text you. The word is taboo. And when we talk about that, we talk about mental health, money, open issues. And this is something that we're talking about inside the community too, as to we're breaking that conversation. We're breaking that mold of don't talk about money. Don't, this is open. When we talk about yesterday I was on with a doctor. I had to do an online thing and I don't even know the doctor. And she's like, "Yeah, everybody says it's so hard to find mental health." And I was like, "Well, if you ask for an LGBTQ plus provider, you're not going to get the shake. Like if you ask for a therapist who is LGBTQT plus, they're already open-minded. And so if you have people complaining that they can't find a doctor, a therapist that is willing to listen to them, it's because they didn't put in that request. And
Right.
I think that inside of the spaces that we are building, we are open to every single person. And we are excited when conservatives come in because they're willing to have those open conversations. We're excited when people of any walk come in to discuss things. But it's because we're open, right? We are open to all of these conversations. And that's just the community and the people that we are bringing on board. And I love that. So, Lisa, I would like for you to talk about what inside of that vulnerability, right? Because you have to tag yourself as I've been here, I did it, and you can trust me, right? That's huge. And it's weird how we have to tag ourselves inside of something so that people can actually be open with us. So I would love for you to talk about that.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I was judged growing up. I was judged in corporate. I was too sassy. I was too loud. I had too much of an accent growing up. I was too dark. I was too this. Whatever it was, too skinny. Whatever it may be. Now I'm told I need to act my age, and I tell people all the time I don't know what 52 looks like. So we're going to do it with pink and purple, and now teal hair, and we're going to do it with all the sassiness. And I've been judged when I started my business. I was judged when, I could barely put food on the table. You're not working hard enough. You need to go get another job. Why are you going to fast food to get your kids something to eat? Because I'm tired. I worked 50 something hours, this week, and I don't want to cook anything. And my kids need to be fed. And I've heard mommy, 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 whatever. And I've had appointments and I'm tired.
And thank you. It's in the bank to pay it.
At the time I didn't say thank you, okay, because that was before, when I was working the corporate, and I didn't realize, and now I have more strategy behind it. But when I started my business, I had to make some very difficult decisions. And when, a lot of times people will say, they'll have conversations with me and they'll start crying. They're in debt or whatever. And they're so afraid they're going to be judged because they made a mistake and now they're in debt. And what I tell people is, look, I can't judge you. I've been there, done that, can write several books on it. And I have a couple of people who are trying to get me to write the book. And it's going to be called All the Why Reasons I Didn't Cash Out. And cash out. Got it. So, yeah. And it's we've got to kick the taboo to the curb, because when we talk about it, knowledge is power. And Sarah may have tried something that I didn't think about that would actually even benefit me more. And if we don't talk about it, then how am I going to know? And if we don't talk about it from a place of no judgment, then all we're going to do is make people go hide. We're going to make them second guess themselves, and they're not going to want to talk about it. And I know what it feels like to be judged, and I refuse to have I refuse to do any of it, and I refuse to have anyone in my circle when I'm doing doing something in that circle, whether it's a retreat or whatever that is, to have any of that judgment going on, because I just think it's really important that we understand that we're all human. We all make mistakes, and anyone that says they don't, they're lying.
Love it. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have a follow-up question?
No, I
All
think I'm
right.
good.
So this is the Skyline Circle, and I just want to say that all three of these women told me they couldn't talk about their business for 20 minutes, and they did. And I didn't have to step in at all. So just want to put that out there, that we think 20 minutes is a lot, but it's not. And we do have more shows coming, more people highlighted. So January 16th, February 13th, March 27th, please go to the website. It is bits.ly/Keystone shows. Go sign up, because we really want to invite you to join our community, invite you to be highlighted and spotlighted inside of this circle. The Skyline Circle is meant for us to really just highlight business owners where you are, as you are, and give you the space to take this and break it into stuff that you can use, but also just be among friends. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I am super excited to be a part of this and to have you all a part of what we're up to. Thank you guys so much.